Hopefully you enjoyed the first part of that meeting and that general session. We love to sort of set the stage in terms of the things that we're going to be talking about, and sort of really get you excited and share with you some of the things that we see from a growth perspective as well. I think the other thing I wanted to sort of say that I didn't say at the last session was we continue to invest in operators and sort of our motion with operators heavily. The reason is because we really believe that you guys are instrumental in growing our Teams Phone estate. And so, keep in mind that this is an extremely, extremely important part of our business. That's why we spend this time with you. That's why we want to hear from you, and sort of think about how we're going forward. And more, sort of, it's important to realize that even though we talk a lot about AI and we talk about Copilot and that's on top of everybody's mind, Teams Phone is still an extremely important part of our journey. And we're very honored that you're a part of it, and we're very grateful that you're a part of it, and we want to help you in whatever way that we possibly can. Having said that, this particular part of the session, the slides that we're going to present are actually available to you. So there's going to be no slides that are going to be confidential or anything like that. I do want to talk you through some of the things that we see from a go-to-market perspective that drives success for you as operator partners. We do publish an operator guide. Most of you should have seen it already or know about it. If you haven't, I've dropped a link into the chat. Make sure that you go download it, consume it. Most of the slides that you're going to see are coming from there this time around. It's important to realize the 320 million number. Leon showed it earlier. I just want to show it again. It's an incredible opportunity. And I think there was a question in the chat window as well about, how much of that 320 million is Teams Phone, or the one you published to say Teams Phone. And, whatever the number is, 20-ish million, it just means that there's an incredible opportunity for you as partners to go and talk to our customers who are leveraging Teams for collaboration and productivity, and talk to them about Teams Phone. That's a super, super important piece that I want to make sure that you guys sort of understand. We are the leader from a cloud telephony perspective, which is an incredibly great achievement for us to have. People trust us more than anybody else to provide their telephony from the cloud, regardless of how large the size of the customer is or how small the size of the customer is, which is fantastic. And we're just enhancing, we're getting started when we think about AI and how that AI integration is going to look like. We also do a lot of research. We publish a bunch of research around sort of the economic impact of Teams Phone. Forrester does this research for us where we think about what the ROI looks like, what the savings are, both from a time and productivity perspective, but also from a dollar perspective as well. Make sure you're familiar with this total economic impact report, and make sure you share it with your customers as well, so that if they're looking into a business case, it's a super important part of that as well. Leon mentioned this report. We talked about Teams telephony, which is expected to rise across the board. I wanted to bring this slide up again to make sure you understand that it's not just the super large customers. Across the board, when we're talking about small, medium enterprises, up to 50 employees, and larger, Teams Phone demand is increasing. This is based on research from customers, from partners who are hearing directly about how important it is to have Teams Phone as part of their portfolio, as part of their offerings. So this is a great sort of slide to illustrate that regardless of how large or small of an operator you are, or how large or small of a market that you operate in, Teams Phone is top of mind for our customers and for our partners. And when we think about some of the sort of converged comms overall story, it's not just beyond, it goes beyond Teams Phone. It goes beyond Teams Rooms to Teams Premium and Copilot. And one of the things we're going to do in this session is we're going to talk about some of the opportunities you have as operators. I know that some of you sit squarely in the Teams phone space, and telephony is your bread and butter, your core product, and something you care about. Um, we also want you to think about some of the horizontal expansion that you potentially have an opportunity to do since you're talking to our customers already. If you're talking about Teams phone, you already have this conversation with them. There's an ability for you to be able to expand that to rooms, to premium, and to Copilot. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And so overall, the partner opportunity looks really, really amazing, especially with Copilot, as Leon showed you with that Copilot multiplier slide, right? When you think about all of the capabilities that come under the umbrella of communications and collaboration, you have room attach opportunity along with the phone, and then of course the Copilot opportunity to be able to build on top of that. So we're going to talk about that a little bit as well. We talk a lot about managed services, and Leon showed that slide in terms of what the phone attach opportunity looks like and what that managed opportunity looks like as well. More and more, the customers that we talk to, they are talking about, hey, we want our communications and collaborations to come from a single vendor. We want somebody to be able to manage this for us. We don't have a large IT department to do it. We don't have lots of IT staff to train. The pace of innovation is so fast that we can't keep up with it. And so we want a managed provider to be able to do this for us. And that's why the managed services opportunity is super, super important. And from a margin and revenue perspective, it's actually pretty rich. If you think about, this is a slide that Leon showed in terms of what the service attach and what the Teams phone partner opportunity is. But if you break that down and you think about even in the enterprise or the SMB, what you can charge for people in terms of your offering to the customer, your value add to the customer, to be able to couple it with your core service, which is telephony, the opportunity is really, really massive. And so we'd love for you to think more about the managed services capability. And in this session, I'd love for you to be able to share with us what's sort of maybe some hurdles or some blockades on creating a more holistic managed services opportunity to provide to our customers. I'd love to hear more about that when we get towards the end of the session. And if you think about, a lot of people tell me, hey, managed services is more of a large customer enterprise play and less of an SMB play. We've heard some different things around this as well. Customers have told us, especially the smaller customers, have told us that, hey, I don't even have an IT department. I don't have I have maybe one admin that looks after a bunch of different things, my users and so on. I don't have a big IT department or any people that can actually do this for me. So managed services is actually very relevant across all of the customer segments. And so it's super important for you to realize that this is a place where you can have impact regardless of the customer size. And that's going to be super important to do it as well. We provide you with a ton of assets, and I'm going to go through some of this stuff in a little bit more detail as well. But getting started on a good, healthy, active go-to-market with Microsoft could not be easier at this time. We have tons and tons of content, tons and tons of guidance information on our practice development pages, on our partner pages. This area is I'm joined by Leon here. He runs this area, and he does a fantastic job of making sure our partners have all of the content that they could potentially consume and be able to sort of present to our customers to drive them through that journey. And I'll show you a little bit about what that journey eventually might look like. Again, there's a lot of things I'm sure you're focused on. We talked about QZAP. We talked about Copilot. We talked about sort of some of the capabilities and innovation that we've been doing, like 5 nines of availability. I'll break down some of these things for you as we go along during this presentation as well. I want to make sure you also understand that there's also a large rooms opportunity for you. And the reason why I always talk about rooms when we meet is that more and more customers are starting to see phone and rooms or phone and meetings to be one holistic experience, right? So the lines there are pretty blurred. They want to be able to have a meetings and rooms and collaboration conversation and also a phone conversation with one vendor, with one supplier, or one managed service provider. And so it's important for you to think about what your offering to that customer would be, because very few people break out meetings and phone now from a customer standpoint. And so if you're providing only phone and they're going somewhere else for looking for meetings and rooms from a managed services capability or just sort of enablement, that's going to be a little bit challenging for them to be able to sort of segregate that. And so they're going to be looking for a consolidation of those capabilities. So there's a lot of content as well available for you to get your rooms opportunity going, to start your practice, if you already have a practice, on how to improve it and improve that go to market. And like I said, all of that content is available on our partner pages. I'm going to ask Leon if you could potentially put a link to those partner pages in the chat window for those of us who don't have already the visibility into those capabilities. That would be super helpful as well. And again, the rooms opportunity actually is extremely margin rich as well. There's a lot of opportunity to sort of think about what that offering looks like, what kind of services you can provide to them. It's not just moves, that changes. And a lot of people ask me, hey, do you want me to go and set up furniture and set up the rooms? No, it's a lot more than that. A meeting lifecycle or room lifecycle is pretty involved. And so we kind of break out what that managed services opportunity in rooms looks like as well. Do definitely take a look at it. This is coming back from research. Again, these are not numbers that we're making up. Over $100 per room per month is what research suggests you can make talking to customers about meeting lifecycle, room lifecycle, etc. So there's a large opportunity for you to think about rooms, to think about meetings in terms of the customer and the value that you bring from your offerings. We talked a little bit about premium. We mentioned the word premium. I don't know if everybody understands what we mean when we say Teams Premium. So there's some licensing and SKU capability. I'm not really going to talk to you a lot about what that licensing capability looks like. All of our information is available in terms of the capabilities that are available in some of these licensing. But premium, or Teams Premium rather, I should say, has a bunch of really interesting things. For example, we talked about QZap earlier. QZap is a capability that sits in Teams Premium. Teams Phone Intelligent Recap, for example, sits in Teams Premium as well. And so there's some really interesting things in Teams Premium that allow you to be able to position an AI story for the customer or a customer engagement story, depending on the size of the customer and their particular departmental requirements, to be able to say, hey, here's some capability from Microsoft that allows you to be able to bring these things to life. And so it's super important for you to understand what that looks like. The customer may already be licensed for it or entitled for it, and it's really up to you to be able to light that up. QZap is a great example. It sits right in Teams Phone, right? Teams Phone and the ability to do manage call queues and customer engagement in a much more meaningful way is a really, really great service to be able to provide to your customers. So definitely take a look at what Teams Premium brings, right? And we think about era, right? The era of AI. And I talked about the age of copilots. I talked about AI. This is going to be a game changer. I often say, again, a pretty far out thing. I was trying to explain this to my daughter the other day, and I was like, hey, listen, I've kind of lived through 2 before and after scenarios. And, I don't know if I'm giving away my age, but I always talk to people like, hey, before the internet, we used to do this. And, I kind of am old enough to remember before the internet. And then we say, before the smartphone, we used to do this. And we all remember that as well. We all had a landline with a big spiral cable that we used to be able to talk on the phone with, right? And so for me, it's before the internet, before the smartphone. And I feel we're at this third inflection point where we're going to talk about before AI, because I do believe that AI is going to change things in that particular dramatic fashion. So it's super important for us to sort of think about AI in everything that we do, the way that we provide network capabilities, the way that we provide telephony capabilities, and everything in between. AI is going to be a big part of it. If you don't see it now, you will start to see it, I guarantee it. And so when you think about Microsoft Copilot, our canvas for AI, there's a really large, obviously, growth opportunity to be able to capture because we have customer mind share at the moment. More and more, every customer wants to have this conversation about Copilot and AI and how it affects my organization, the work that I do, the business problems that I have. How is AI going to help me? And so we've got teams and teams and teams and thousands of people within Microsoft who are trying to help our customers figure out what the use cases look like, what does Copilot mean to them? What does AI mean to them as well? And we'd love for you guys as our partner ecosystem to join that particular piece as well. And of course, it's going to be monetarily and fiscally very beneficial for you as well, because Copilot just becomes the multiplier of everything that we do, whether we do phone or meetings or premium rooms. Copilot sits on top of it. That conversation deepens and broadens. You talk to business people. You talk about broader things. You talk about how to solve business problems. I mean, telephony and meetings, they're kind of table stakes at the moment, right? Everybody expects that to be just working seamlessly. Now, what am I going to do to be able to make that experience better? How can I make my phone experience better? It hasn't changed really for a very, very long time. And now we have this ability to change that experience as well. We often give this example. I noticed that Obaid was here earlier as well. When we talk about mobile experiences, right? The ability to make a phone call using my native dialer or a Teams app, and then have that call transcribed. I can get action items on it. I can ask people what happened on that call when I get to my desk. Really super powerful, whether it's a PSTN call or a Teams call. So some really great ways for us to be able to think about how AI and how Copilot is going to be infused into everything that we do. I already belabored this slide. I'm not going to do it for a third time, but it's the most important slide that I want to make sure you understand. Teams Phone has to be a pivotal part of Graph, has to be a pivotal part of M365 for all of the Copilot capabilities to be useful. And so that's a super important thing. And then finally, I want to actually touch base on one more thing. A lot of you are thinking about Teams Phone and Copilot and meetings in Copilot and what that means to you and what conversations to have with your customer. But this is one of the strongest and fastest growing areas, is the partner opportunities with Copilot. And customers are really wanting to know and learn a lot more about how they can get started on their Copilot journey. What should they be doing with it? And so you have this opportunity to really think about adoption and change management for Copilot, advisory services, deployment services. There's a lot of data governance and security things to think about. So if you're a good partner who's doing rooms and who's doing phone and wants to think about what do I do with AI, we have a bunch of information for you as well. So the same pages that by now I'm sure Leon has dropped that link in there, have all of this information about how to start your Copilot practice, what do you think we should be doing from a customer perspective, and so on. And then of course, the Holy Grail, we're going to be building a lot of things with using Copilot Studio, and we're going to be building agents. You saw the video I posted earlier with agents. I think that's going to be the future. There's going to be a lot of agent interaction that we're going to be doing with all of the data that we have in Graph, our users, and then everything that we have from a third-party application perspective, line of business services, etc. This is going to be an area that's going to grow tremendously, and we'd love to have you as a part of it as well. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but the 4 things that I want you to take away from what I said: bring immersive experience to life. Think about the stories you're going to tell your customers around AI value, Copilot, and Converge Comms, which is phone and rooms. Become an expert at Copilot. That is going to be, there's a lot of skill-based learning that you can do. Certifications are coming up as well. If you have people in your team who are looking to start up on Copilot and AI, this is a great way to be able to do it. And engage with us, have conversations with us, whether you do it on Yammer and Teams channels, in our partner communities. Talk to us about stories if you have them, or questions if you want more information on how to sort of get onto this journey. I'm going to talk a little bit about when you start to think about going to market with Microsoft. Pause myself. So the reason why you hear my video is because I didn't take that away. These are all slides, again, like I mentioned, in the operator guide. It's linked at the top of the chat. You can go ahead, take a look at it, download it, and you can hear my voice again if you really miss me after this session. But essentially, when we put all of this together, when we think about all of the great things that you as operators can do across M365. So I know that we think about phone, sort of as this place where, this is kind of where we live and breathe, and this is kind of what we do. We have to start to think broadly about all of the things that M365 offers our customers. We can still stay in sort of our little bubble where we provide communications and collaborations, but think about all of these opportunities. Every single bullet point on this slide is an opportunity for you to drive a deeper value, a deeper meaning, a deeper conversation with your customers. And so that's super important. And you can see that we include rooms, we include phone, we talk about premium, we talk about Copilot. There's some really fantastic things for us to think about here, and really a lot of value that you can bring to your customers as well. So really, I would encourage you to go through some of these things. There's a lot of other capability that we're not going to break down in this particular time because we have limited time. I want to make sure I get to your questions and your thoughts. Obviously, phone is a super, super important piece to you. So think about how you can enhance your phone offerings as well. I talk to operator partners all day, every day, because that's my job. And I see that a lot of people kind of sit in phone and they sell minutes in PSTN, and that's great. That's fantastic. But if you're thinking about just expanding phone, you can think about other things as well. You can think about all of the sort of value-added services across phone, whether it's contact center as a service, compliance recording, things like attendant console, or providing third-party interop for super complex deployments, whether it's regulatory or security or some other reason. And then thinking about how you're going to tell that Copilot story as well. There's a lot of really interesting things around Teams Phone when you start to build your managed services capability. I told you we have all this great content. I'm just going to give you examples of some of the really great things. So for example, we put a customer journey together. We tell you what kind of services you should potentially offer and what the scenarios are across calling, across meeting rooms, and how you can do that. But what I really want to show you is, look at the journey. Look at the journey of your customer. And it starts at the very top when you're building your funnel. This is my attempt to draw sort of a funnel. And when you think about demand generation and the co-sell motion that you'll do with Microsoft, all of the things that you see at the bottom over there on that slide are all content, pieces of content that we give you to be able to plug into that customer journey, into that top of that funnel, and go all the way through so that you can actually drive customers from the left to the right. Because honestly, that's your success, and that ultimately is our success as well. So whether you're doing demand generation, we've got content for you. If you're building the intent for customers, we've got briefings and workshops and pitch decks, lots of content for you, whether it's Teams Phone or Teams Phone Mobile or Rooms, whether you're proving value and doing pilots and proof of value kits. We give you packaged content, and that content is verbose. There are so many things from marketing campaigns that you can just package, put your brand on it, and send to your customers. The team has done a phenomenal job of building that out. And then from going all the way from demand gen to deployment and then to adoption. So every piece of that journey to make somebody a Teams Phone customer or a Teams Rooms customer, all of that content is available to you to be able to leverage. All of that guidance is available to you. And hopefully we get all of our customers to that right box, that red box, where we have them as Teams Phone customers. They're happy customers. They're making calls, and we can provide managed services to them and drive more value, and then talk about additional things like Copilot and some of the other capabilities. So this is a super important slide for you to understand. How do I get my customers all the way from the left? Or how do I even get customers into the funnel? It's all right there. So really great information there. I took a liberty of putting together some slides that people really love these slides, but however, I just want to make sure they're illustrative, they're examples. We at Microsoft are not in the business of telling you how much you should charge, but it's more effective with dollar figures on there, right? So we talk about sort of what kind of offerings to think about. So a lot of times people will have sort of the single Teams Phone offering, and they'll provide sort of either a channel-based or a user-based pricing, especially when you're doing Operator Connect. And we're like, okay, that's kind of our thing. But if you think about, the opportunity there, we talked about managed services, we talked about what that revenue opportunity looks like. There's a lot of things for us to do. there was a slide earlier where we had all these services that you could offer, and there's another slide where we have all the managed services opportunities. So this is not all inclusive. These are just examples. And some of these examples are, by the way, taken from real life operators and partners like yourself. Some of these examples are taken by customers and some of our analyst research that tells us this is what customers and how they want to consume. You can totally ignore the dollar amounts, by the way. They're not real and they're just illustrative. But what do they want to consume and how do they want to consume those in those bundles? This assumes obviously user-based pricing and how you can think about it. And one of the other operators we had a great idea, like, let's make telephony simple. We'll have a single price across direct routing, across Operator Connect, across Teams Phone Mobile, because at the end of the day, there's no end user experience change except for mobile. There's no end user experience change. It's still telephony. And so let's, deconstruct and simplify the deployment mechanism. The deployment mechanism is the complexity that the operator should own. And the operator should be able to sort of obfuscate the customer from it and say, hey, simply, you want Teams Phone? We got you. We got a single price for you. You can enable all your users, and we'll figure out the personas and who needs mobile and who needs direct routing and who needs Operator Connect. The reason is because we allow flexibility across all of these deployment models for you to be able to manage that complexity for the customer and be able to provide that value to the customer, because that is really where the operator value comes in. And then when we start to sort of step back from phone a little bit and think about the overall opportunity, there's some really, really great things we can do. When we stop talking about phone and telephony and we start talking about a modern workplace, we think about calling, but we also think about meetings and rooms, and we think about smart workplaces, which could include things like places and white glove events and webinars. And we think about Copilot and what that means to customers, or what that AI story means to customers. That is a really, really powerful story. So we want to be able to think about it horizontally. We want to think about it from a holistic standpoint, to have that relationship with the customer, to build a better, stronger go-to-market. What we want to do is every single one of you, we want to move you from the left side of the slide, if you find yourself on the left side of the slide, all the way to the right side of the slide. That is a goal that we all have, that we all share within Microsoft, is to work with you as partners to make sure we can provide you with things to move you all the way through the slide. So if you do find yourself in that left two sections, reach out to me later and tell me what I can do, or tell me what we can do to be able to sort of enhance your go-to-market together with us. Because like I said before, we believe that you are super, super critical for us to grow Teams Phone. We have checklists. I'm not going to go over this checklist again. It's in the operator guide. Partnering with Microsoft couldn't be easier. Like I said, we have a lot of resources for you to be able to take a look at. Whether you're starting your journey and you're just starting to think about partnering with Microsoft in a more meaningful way to get to a better go-to-market, or you're already amazing partners, there's always an ability, or there's always opportunity to be able to do more, to drive more co-sell, to drive more opportunities together. Like I said, we step you through it. All of this content is available. We step you through every single piece of that journey on how do you grow your business, how do you become a fast-track partner, drive co-sell. All of those things are available to you to be able to leverage. How do you build an offer, get it into AppSource? By the way, if you don't already have a consulting services offer in AppSource, I highly recommend it. It's a great place for our customers to discover, Microsoft internal people to discover your value, your services, and what you bring to the table as a partner. We also have a lot of trainings. I'm not going to go into the detail of it. Sorry, I skipped that slide, but there's so many trainings and learnings that you can go through, whether it's live trainings that we run for Converge Comms in our technical boot camps, our sales boot camps, all of the on-demand content. We have a training track for you as well for meetings and modernized communications, where you can start with the fundamentals and go all the way to advanced to skill some of the people that you have, whether it's people who are selling stuff for you or who are operating and supporting stuff for you or are experts. All of that learning and training is available. It's always there. I get this question a lot, and I included these slides just so you know that, hey, we support you in figuring out how to skill and provide sort of that scale to the customers. All right, I'm getting to the end here in terms of what I wanted to talk about. I am going to pause to see if Leon wanted to say a few words. In order to do that, Leon again runs our Teams Phone partner marketing, and so a lot of the initiatives that you have heard me talk about are coming from Leon. A lot of the content that we're coming on from is result of his sort of ability to execute on some of these things. So, Leon, do you want to say a few words?
No, I think you did a great job, Timur. Thank you very much. What we have done is I've put a lot of links in there, but there's one link, that's the partner Converge.com's go to market. That kind of will have everything. That's kind of the entry point for everything. But I've dropped a lot of content in there. The only other thing that I would say, it's probably the one that I really wish partners would use more, and that's the business case builder. It's an underused resource, but it's super, super valuable. So please, if you haven't explored that, it's really worth a look. Those are the top ones, Timur. Thanks.
Yeah, the business case builder, by the way, also linked over here. I don't know if you probably can't see my mouse, but essentially is a great tool, and it builds business cases not just for Teams Phone, obviously, but a lot of different things. And if your customers are struggling to figure out where ROI is going to come from, great shout out, Leon. I think a lot of people don't know about this tool, which is amazing. So you can fill in your customer details and information, and it'll spit out numbers to you that you can actually just share in a presentation to customers. It's absolutely fantastic. So with that, I'm going to pause. I did say I wanted to save some time. I said on the top of the call that these sessions are only valuable if you guys talk to us. If you tell us, hey, what you're saying is good, what you're saying is kind of rubbish, I don't really like it, or anything in between. We want to hear about it. If we're missing some things in our story here, I want to hear about that too. So I'll take hand raises whenever you guys are ready. Again, like I said, it's no use if we come and present to you. All of this stuff will be presented to you in other forums as well. And so for us to continue doing this, we want to see if we can talk. So I'll pause. If anybody wants to raise their hand, I don't know if there's any questions in the chat, don't be shy. It always takes the first person to start us off. And we'll get going.
Anyone have any? Hasn't been addressed.
Cool. Anyone have any thoughts about everything that we talked about? Dawn, what's on your mind?
First of all, thanks for the presentation today. Just have a question about the training. If we have customers asking for that type of training for their end users, is that something that we can provide to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can definitely provide training, and I call it out in one of the managed services capabilities as well, that it's definitely end user training is a big ask from customers. All of the training materials that we have, you can reuse it to train your customers. You can set up your own managed services, your own offering to do that. Absolutely. So feel free to use that content.
Oh, okay, sounds good. So is it public facing or is it in the partner portal?
We have both. We have a lot of end user training. A lot of our public facing content is on YouTube and some of our portals. There's some partner specific training that you can use as well. So yeah, I mean, definitely anything that you find on public portal, feel free to reuse. Leon, do you think they can use some of the training material that we've built? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. We also have public learning paths that the customers can go to and can be enabled. Most of those are free, so yeah, there's a lot that's accessible.
Cool, thank you. Jay, you're on.
Thank you, Timur, and great presentation. Just wanted to know if Microsoft has any plans to develop their own contact center strategy, or at least contact center full integration with teams that can possibly work out of Dynamics, for example.
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I wanna make sure, and I had a great slide which I didn't present at this time. So when you think about our customer engagement strategy, right? It has 4 different pillars in it. The first pillar is we're going to be building some capability that complements our first party stuff that we already have in Teams today, which is call queues and on auto attendance. We're going to be building on top of that. We're going to be building tools around it. We're going to be putting some AI on it and so on. So that was the Queues app. We talked about it a little bit. The second part of the strategy is really to work with our really great contact center partners who've been doing this for decades. and providing really, really rich contact center solutions. Things like intelligent call routing and sort of smart ACDs and agent login, logouts, and sort of very formal contact center capability. So we've got a bunch of really great partners that do that, and they integrate with Teams, and our integration with Teams is getting better and better. We're always investing in those APIs to allow them to be able to do some really great stuff. So that's the second part of the strategy. The third part of our strategy is we have within our Dynamics world, supporting CRM and all of the AX capabilities that Dynamics have. We're building some contact center capability there as well. You can imagine how the Dynamics world, when it comes to CRM, is pretty closely integrated with customer contact, right? That's the whole purpose of building CRM. And so we're building sort of some Dynamics contact center capability there, both to complement Dynamics, but also standalone to be able to sort of address some of the customer contact needs. So that is coming up, and I mentioned earlier in a general session, we're not going to talk about it today much, but we're going to talk about it probably the next time we meet in our fall operator day. So that's the third piece. And then the fourth piece is leveraging Azure Communication Services. So Azure Communication Services provides our CPaaS solution, which can really be used as a bare bones platform to build whatever you want. So if you wanted to build a custom contact center, or you wanted to build an omni-channel experience for a customer, whether it's through the web or apps or whatever, you could leverage Azure Communication Services to do that as well. So that's really the four pillars of our full sort of customer contact strategy. Does that help answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Cool. Hey, William, you're up. I haven't seen you in a long time, man.
Yeah, man. How's it going? Right? It's been what, about a week?
Yeah, about a week.
Great seeing you last week in London. Just a question on one of the slides that you had about the partner opportunity on the enterprise. That you had the $2.20 on deployment and the adoption and advisory, like $3.55. What's the position, or what is Microsoft doing to kind of differentiate between Operator Connect and also direct routing? Because you have a lot of the traditional telephony that are going in there and they're absorbing a lot of these costs or waiving them. And is there going to be more of a differentiator to try to push customers or customer exposure to Operator Connect over direct routing?
Yeah, it's a really great question. It's not our job, or it's not our intent, rather. Job is a bad word. It's not our intent to have direct routing and Operator Connect compete with each other, both for internally as well as for our customers. I think that both of the deployment models kind of serve different purposes. One of the things when we were thinking about Operator Connect was we wanted to make sure, we wanted to provide an industrialized, scalable model for operators to be able to take telephony to market with our customers. B, we wanted to sort of also provide a quality stamp on top of our joint engagement with operators. That's why we have the operator directory entitled in a sort of a lightweight certification program, which is, hey, if you're getting Operator Connect, you're getting a sort of a minimum bar of quality, resiliency, availability, network capability, et cetera, right? So we sort of have this sort of foundation on which we've built Operator Connect on. And we feel like that's the differentiation that our customers are looking for as well. And then obviously there's a bunch of other additional management capabilities that enhances Operator Connect and some of the capabilities there as well. So I don't think that we're gonna sort of exclude direct routing from some features and only build them into Operator Connect. But you can imagine that Operator Connect would have more and more things being built into it that help you as an operator manage, support, and provide better and stronger quality to our customers. That's going to be our differentiation. And to your point about like other commodity players just going in and taking away some of that business, like managed services and deployment and so on, I think I think it's a fair point, right? I think that we want to make sure, one of the reasons why I put the slide up is, we don't want to compete with the cost to zero argument, right? Where PSTN minutes and DIDs, that cost is going to zero and it's really commodity play. We want to think about what additional value can you as an operator bring to the customer. And that's kind of really the key focus here, right? So if you move closer to the right side of this slide, that's going to be the operator value. The left side of the slide, maybe that's going to be something that commodity players can take away from you. Leon, do you want to add anything to that?
No, totally aligned to that. But what I would also say is, what's fit for purpose, and we're seeing a lot of hybrid deployments out there. We're also seeing operators really lean. Most of the operators that we're dealing with are really leaning into Operator Connect for their own financial models. They're finding the cost of sale is much lower on that. The cost of deployment is lower, and their deployment is significantly faster across that. So we're seeing benefits on both sides, not just on the customer side, but internal to the operator themselves.
Cool. Hey, William, does that help answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you both. Thank you very much.
No worries. Anyone have any questions or thoughts on all of the things that we discussed? I know it was a lot. And if you don't have any questions, I'm going to start asking questions. So you better put your hand up. But one of the sort of things one of the interesting points that Leon mentioned was we did some research, and research came back and said, hey, less than a third of operators are actually thinking about AI, Copilot, and incorporating that into offerings. Does that resonate with you guys? Are you guys thinking about how to talk about AI, how to talk about Copilot to your customers? Is it important? Is it not important? What do you guys think? You guys can just raise your hand or let us know in the chat or whatever. But I'm really interested in this, right? Because me and Leon, we feel like this is an area we really need to focus on. So are you hearing this from your customers, or is that completely outside of your area and you're already trying to think about that?
And to bolt onto that, team, or are your sellers thinking about that?
Yeah, that's a good one as well. Because for us, that's all customers want to talk about. I don't know, Leon, if you have the same sort of experience, but all customers want to talk about is AI. And so I'd like to be able to translate this to the group, but it looks like the group is pretty quiet. Hey, Greg, what's up? We can't hear you, Greg, even though you're off mute. So it might be a device issue. We'll come back to you in a second. William?
Hi, Tamor and Leon. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it seems to be on the forefront and the tips of most of the tongues. And as far as our position on that is, we're absolutely putting it in where we see value, right, within some of our applications, not just let's say Operator Connect and others, but wherever there is a place in there. So just whether it's an AI assistant or maybe even helping them add forms to certain pieces, like if you can still believe it, faxing is a thing, right? So anything like that where it could speed the process up for them. Nobody wants to type up letters or anything anymore, or a cover letter or the like. So things like that, we're certainly looking into expanding and leverage AI wherever we can, because it does seem to be very in the forefront, and customers want to see. I think now it's almost what you're being judged on, right? Are you forward thinking enough, and do you have the expertise to build that into your tools?
Cool. Yeah, no, thanks for that insight.
Yeah.
That's great feedback. One of the things, we'll get to your questions, Shannon and Greg, in a second. One of the things that's really cool for me is, partners innovate a lot, right? So one of my partners had said to me, hey, we want to build a really great support experience for our customers, because that's going to be the value that we provide, which is a fantastic story. And so when you think about what that means, there's a lot of AI or agents that can actually help in that customer support. So if you're a managed services customer of an operator and you have a different way to engage with the operator, whether it's a service disruption or a change request or whatever, being able to talk to an AI agent and be able to sort of help that journey along is going to be a very powerful thing as well, just as an example of how you guys can start to think about AI. Shannon?
Hi, Timor.
Hey.
I just want to say, I don't know. I tried to put in a chat, but the chat isn't working for me personally. Just not sure if that's the issue for other people as well. In terms of AI, I'll kind of reiterate what the last gentleman just said. I mean, a lot of our customers, they really want to see the return on their investment in technology. A phone system is a phone system, but they want to ensure that the tool allows their teams to be more productive, more efficient. And same with employees, they want to be effective and impactful. So we're seeing a huge push in the AI, and as well as kind of integrating tools like contact center. And user adoption is really powerful for us as well, helping the end customer and the end users really understand how to use Teams and Copilot and the contact center functionality.
Cool.
And Shane, just to build out on what you just said, is what we're seeing is that if you're not able to, and I mean this authentically, connect voice to the AI strategy, you're sitting in a budget desert. You suddenly get pushed to an infrastructure layer, and you battle to get the projects funded. And the more you're able to connect and align to that board-approved strategy, the more success you're going to see. So we're seeing that in a lot of partners that are doing that well have got a lot more access to budget. So yeah, love your point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's great to see people that I've met in the last 2 weeks as well, because I've been on the road at Ignite and Cavell and so on. Nice to see you again, Shannon. Greg,
likewise.
You got your audio stuff figured out?
I think so, Tamor. Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, we can.
All right. And by the way, I can't use the chat either, so there must be something going on. Just food for thought. I think one question really for the audience is, at least I've seen quite a number of operators that aren't actually Microsoft partners, in the sense that they don't sell the rest of the Office suite. So I think one challenge here is how to enable some of those organizations to become sellers of the broader portfolio. I think a lot of them, well, I won't say a lot, but a number of them are primarily selling the dial tone part of the equation.
Yeah, no, it's a good question, Greg, and you got some applause there too, so it definitely resonates. So yeah, I mean, the good thing about being Microsoft partners is you can kind of be a partner across the ecosystem, right? And so we have various different partners. Like for example, we have CSP partners that sell the Microsoft 365 suite, so they sell the license all the way from collaboration, productivity, across to Teams Phone and Teams Meetings and Premium and Copilot and so on. And that's really the enablement piece, right? Or sorry, the entitlement piece, so the customer licensing. A lot of our partners want to stay very squarely in the enablement side, where they say, okay, you bring your license to us and we will enable you for whatever it is, telephony or rooms, and AI, hopefully as well. And I think that's fine. I do think that people who see value in sort of being entitlement and enablement partners, definitely there's room for that, and we have a bunch of operator partners that do that. A lot of them don't, and that's okay as well. I think it just depends on which journey you want to be on and which journey you want to take your customers on. Lots of operator partners have different relationships with their customers as well, and maybe that's just not a business that they're in. But it's certainly valid for you, and I think we cover a little bit of this in the SMB section as well, is to talk a lot about what does it mean for us to be a more holistic partner, and CSP is definitely one of those examples. So thanks for bringing it up, Greg.
Yeah, when we look at we take a pure margin perspective on that. The managed services is really that sweet spot. That's where you're seeing the big return. So that's why you see the focus that we have on that. Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else have any questions or thoughts for us in terms of how we position our go-to-market strategy with you guys, or anything we're lacking from a go-to-market perspective? Did you hear enough guidance? Ericsson, yeah, it's a cool name of that.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Great presentation, by the way. I sat in your first session, and you guys mentioned, in order to make yourself look sticky in Operator Connect, you should try doing the trials and also self-service. So we've actually done that, so we were pretty unique where, our customers can start their own Microsoft Operator Connect Teams phone calling within minutes. We've got a cool UI to walk them through the entire process, and we've got a 30-day trial on it. But even with that, we're still not seeing the adoption that we're hoping to get. So I'm just wondering how other maybe more successful operators out there, how are you guys marketing, to have people actually click on your site? I mean, there's not that many operators out there. I mean, there's a lot, but there's not that many if you compare it to the rest of the United States or the world, right? It's a very small niche. I'm just trying to understand how can we better market, a particular operator? How can we make customers click on us specifically? How are you guys advertising this?
No, it's a pretty good question, right? And I get this a lot. And so let me sort of tell you what my thought is. So the first part of it is we as Microsoft don't necessarily do above the line marketing for phone and even Teams for that matter, right? And so we rely on partners to go talk to customers about it. And in some cases, for our large managed customers, our own sales organization. And so it becomes a little bit of a battle as to who goes where. Like, how do the customers reach this decision of Teams Phone and then pick a partner, right? And so I think it's great, and it's a great highlight for the slide I was presenting earlier, right? So you talked a little bit about a pilot, an experience for customers that you've built, and that's great. But if you notice, that particular experience sits right here in that third blue box, right? Where you're doing proof of value, pilot's kind of proof of value, right? But in order to get to that third box, there's like two other steps to get through to put that customer on that journey. And so my advice for all partners is that make sure you don't ignore the demand gen piece on that first part of the journey, or the intention building piece, or that second part of the journey, right? Because remember, telephony is inherently something that people already have, right? There's going to be very few customers who are going to be greenfield for telephony completely. Yes, maybe new companies. But in general, telephony is already something that people have. Either they have a legacy third-party system or they're on some other platform. So in order for you to think about how do you bring telephony into Teams, or why, more importantly, do you bring telephony into Teams, those first two boxes are super, super important. And so a lot of people jump into that third box or even that fourth box to say, okay, yeah, we can do it. Let me know when you're ready. I don't think that's enough. And so think about what your offering looks like to your customers. How do you do demand gen? Do you do co-sell with Microsoft? And if you do, how do you bring those customers through that funnel to that proof of value? Because it looks like you've got a great pilot journey, which is fantastic. It's one of the things that we say actually is, hey, you should have a really, really good pilot journey for customers, because that's what customers have told us they want. They want to trial it, they want to kick the tires. And so, but have you build a good demand gen and intent building capability within you? So that would be my answer. Leon?
Yeah, I suppose I've just got a clarifying question. When you get the customer to click, are you seeing conversion? And is the question just, how do you get them into your portal? Or are they converting when they're there?
Oh, they are converting. It's just that we're not getting enough of them.
Got you. Okay. And the segments that you're targeting, is that mid-market, SMB? What segment are you in?
SMB.
SMB. Okay. So then what I've seen is really works successfully is how you bundle the solutions together, is building, real bundled solutions. And SMB generally, and your audience that really understands this, that it's got low tolerance for complexity. So bundle it, automate it, make it really easy to consume, and obviously, it's got to come in at the right price point. But I'd say that's the secret sauce there, is do it fast, do it reliably, and do it at the right price, is what it's about. And bundle it, get Teams Premium in there with calling, and build those key bundles. And security. Put security in there. Security's got to be in the mix.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's great. I absolutely think that I've seen other operators succeed when they build out this particular services portfolio. But again, like I said, it depends on your appetite. It depends on what you want to do. But since you asked for our opinion on what it takes to be successful, this is what it takes to be successful. Thanks for the question. So, sorry, was that a thought, Dean? No? All right.
I have a question.
Sure.
For making essentially the third-party calling plan, whether it's direct routing, operator connect, can it be made transactable? Can you give us some advice in terms of, when I say transactable, it's sold through Microsoft. Microsoft does the billing.
Unfortunately not. We don't have any plans to be billing partners. There's a lot of taxation and regulatory reasons. But no, that